ProveXicans. I'm going to keep saying it till it has a jingle. Hexicans. I've heard asked the other day, ProveXicans, or should you call people sacrifice or participate or hold ProveX at some point? I don't know. One of those. We'll find out. We got time. We got just 2 more weeks and a lot of things will be solved. Today, everything on ProveX and Pulse on PulseChain and the pools. Got some pools out there as well. So welcome back to the show for a very long time. Dylan and Buck. How's it going, gents?
Going pretty good, sir. Thanks for having us.
You're back.
Good to be here.
Buck, do you like ProveXicans?
I think they might be my new favorite community because I think I'm the only one. Well, maybe Dylan is as well. Yeah, I like 100% of ProveX people at the moment.
They've yet to solely they've yet to up the cryphagery at this point, have they? They've got time. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's true. It hasn't, we haven't materialized yet, so there's no chance to cryphag yet.
There's a imploding and exploding and imploding, exploding. It's just it's really fun. Crypto is really fun. It's been fun for a while. Very fun. Yeah. But you guys have been stick around. You've been here for a while, building stuff. I've yet to see a rug. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've yet to see one.
Yeah.
I miss them.
They're fun fact. Running an Aave fork. There's been other Aave forks on the chain that got hacked. We're fine. GMX had an exploit. We were not affected. Pretty impressive. Balancer even was exploited, and PHUX is a Balancer fork, and we're good. We didn't suffer an exploit because we had the foresight, or the devs had the foresight, and didn't have those complicated pools. So pretty cool.
That's awesome. I'm glad. There's plenty of exploit. Yeah, it's been crazy in the DeFi, even audited stuff getting taken down lately. So,
oh yeah,
I'm glad you guys weren't affected. That would suck.
Yeah, of course, and of course, it'd be the perfect ammo for people fighting and stuff. Which it's kind of nice having guys that are pretty smart that have the foresight and think ahead. You know what I mean? So yeah, nice.
On a technical level, it's like only if you're not going to use features or they're not part of the project, whatever, it makes sense to not include them because it's just more attack surface. So I imagine that's what happened. Your devs were like, oh, we don't need that. Maybe it was a security decision. Maybe it's just like, yeah, we don't need it right now. We can add it later. Either way, yeah. Man, that's awesome.
Most of the time, the features were like, well, this looks a little shaky and looks, too complex. It looks risky. So, that was kind of the thought process, I think, on a lot of their decisions for the multiple things. So, yeah, good foresight, nonetheless.
Yeah, I've seen you guys talk about ProveX on oops, Buck's back. I've seen you guys talk about ProveX on a couple different shows. So I won't get into what was your first instinct. What were you thinking? What I think everyone's kind of caught up on all of those pieces, but I think the most interesting thing, and we'll get into the pool, of course, as well, but what I was thinking about this morning when I was thinking about this stream was it'd be interesting to hear your all's take on just the kind of what we started with, the environment, the cryphagery, we've seen the Richards make some moves and stuff too. And then you guys have been here a while, like you talked about too, building products and doing all this stuff. What makes you excited about the sacrifice? I know you guys talked a little bit about that. Maybe it could be a low market cap, could be less people and all these other advantages, but like what was like, what this might make sense.
Yeah. So the overall market is kind of cooked right now. And maybe that's just a coincidence while RH is raising, capital for ProveX. But I mean, it's kind of helping the case of like, on the onset, when it started, no cores, right? No rolling over the bag holders. The low valuation makes it very attractive. Okay. Because you got to think about it in terms of, okay, well, when RH came out with Hex, right? There was a period of FUD or whatever, and it had a low valuation, 30 days in, and then it rocketed up, and he was essentially the Elon Musk of crypto, of altcoins, right? He had a gigantic success. he rode that success and rolled it into Pulse and PulseX. And, you had this Richard Hart premium effect where he made a lot of people very wealthy. And then they're like, oh, well, if he did this with Hex, imagine what he can do with Pulse and PulseX. And then their minds were like, and like, oh yeah, I'm going to ape into this thing. Right. Well, he ended up raising a lot of money and, especially with Hex. Right. So like we know of, the 800 mil or whatever that he raised, that was like real capital. Right. But with the Hex on top of that, it was like billions of dollars. Right. And then he sacked himself stuff, and then it was tens of billions of dollars, Um, so, everybody rolled the success of Hex into this Pulse and PulseX, and it was extremely heavy, right? It was extremely valuable, and it's really hard to get and make a return on something that's raised billions of dollars. Okay, um, so with that being said, Buck and I, especially with PulseX, we were like, hey, this is probably too expensive for a DEX. Maybe this is mispriced and perhaps this is going to dip. And we were kind of very outspoken about that. And, uh, unfortunately or fortunately, we were, correct in the assessment there. And, fast forward, what has it been since the sacrifices? Like 4 years now, right?
3, yeah.
Yeah. So 21. Yeah. So 3 years, I guess, and some change. So fast forward 3 years. Now Richard's doing another sacrifice. Okay. And the valuation is hilariously low, right? Maybe from the RH premium, now we're getting the RH discount. You know what I mean? And so perhaps the opportunity lies in that fact alone, right? So, our hypothesis or thesis here is, okay, well, maybe he's intentionally leaving things vague because we all really don't know what this is, right? We have a general understanding of like, what it'll do. We don't know how it works. We don't have a white paper. We don't have the Richard Hart video that he said he was going to do. Maybe that's intentional as well. Kind of seems like he's sandbagging. Like he doesn't want to raise a lot of money, right? For those of you that think it's a cash grab, I don't think Richard cares about $2 million, bro. Like he could stake that ETH and make that in a couple months. You know what I mean? So like, come on. So it makes you wonder, like, what is he doing? What is the process here? And so I think the value proposition lies within Richard wants to put a win on the board to kind of change the paradigm within the core tokens in the community. Okay, so let's imagine. I want to point out that he has tried to pump the chart a couple times. I want to like iterate that. Like, let's lay that out in the card on the table here. He's tried to do it at least twice. Okay, with like at least like $50 million, right? We all know of the public one that he did from December to March, from 23 to 24. Like that was extremely out in the open, came straight from the SAC wallet, and we all watched it, right? That got dumped down. Okay. Now, turns out he tried to do it again from September to December in 24, right? Those were different wallets, and it was very under the radar. And like I didn't find this out until recently. Okay. And then when the SEC thing happened, he also tried to pump it a little bit there too, with some leftover stuff that he had, like with like 2 million or something. So he's definitely tried, right? He's definitely tried. Okay. And he's also tried lowering the inflation rewards for the liquidity providers to kind of help stop the bleeding. He lowered the inflation rewards for Hex for staking or mining, whatever you want to say. And he's tried to kill some of the exploits that have been going on the chain, i.e., PDI and the farms early on, and just he's trying to stop as many leaks as he possibly can. Okay. So with that being said, back to the original point of, is he intentionally sandbagging this thing to create a low valuation hurdle that he can actually point to and say, look, I still have the magic. I'm still capable of having a chart that looks nice, right? I'm still able to point and say, look, I won. You could have sacrificed. You were a pussy, and I could have won. And this is his easy layup, right? This is probably what it is. He's sandbagging this thing, in our opinion. He's creating a low valuation, and he's trying to put a win on the board. That's kind of our thesis.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it kind of points to him not live. Like, so what happens if he live streams? Like, wouldn't he not live stream if he is indeed sandbagging this and not wanting to get everyone in and not wanting to get the community excited about it?
Yeah, I mean, what has he done so far, right? Like, there's no info, there's no, there's no stream. He said he'd do that like 4 days ago, or actually, he said he'd do that 6 days ago in 2 days, and that's it's well past that. So it's not even like fashionably late. So, I mean, kind of makes you think, is he just sandbagging here? You know what I mean? So
I mean, he did mention that. I don't know. I can't see him not doing anything. At this point, I'm not sure it's gonna be live stream. I think it'd be a pre-recorded video, which would be
sure.
another, like, come on, like it's still not time to live stream.
I mean, it's better than nothing, right? So.
Oh yeah, but it's going to be another kind of to your point of like not trying to promote it. Like, it's just
perhaps
what you're going to get a video. I'm going to talk about it, and whoever gets in gets in.
I mean, what if he does a video and then barely talks about it? That'd be really funny.
Like,
okay,
yeah,
I'm alive, and ProveX. Oh, it's this cool thing I'm building. Might want to check it out, and then continues to just whatever he does. You know what I mean? That'd be wild.
I can see two different. I could see it being like literally a general video, as he has done, talking about markets, talking about PulseChain, and said, "Oh yeah, ProveX is out there. You guys check. You can sacrifice for that." Some think it's different than the other. Like, maybe that, or it's literally just ProveX. It's just a ProveX promotional video, and you don't even talk about PulseChain that much. I could see either way.
So, yeah, I mean, with that being said, I mean, and him making the multiplier higher than Pulse and PulseX, it just makes sense to have a pool. So, from a 2.5x to now a 3x, you got a pool, man. Like, it just makes sense. So, Buck and I looked around and said nobody's starting one. So, hey, let's fucking PH team. Let's run a pool. So, bada bing.
Have you all ran pools before, or is this the first one for sacrifice?
Well, no, but we've run 2 sacrifices. The PH team has successfully ran 2 sacrifices. So, and then ran Aave fork for 2 years, and ran a GMX fork for 2 years, and then a balancer fork for 2 years. So, I think.
Yeah, I should know if you all did one for the PulseX one or anything before.
Okay. No. So there was other people that have, like, that we know that ran pools, and they're just totally not interested, and they just chipped in with us. So, like, we looked around and was like, hey, is anybody doing this? And then, like, no, okay, well, might as well. We like the investment thesis here, so might as well be the number one guy, I guess. You know what I mean?
So at the top, I mean, you think if you all are the number one, pool becomes a few $1 million or so. Maybe the total SAC amount is I don't know. I've heard speculation, a few million, 30 million, all that stuff. Who do the next places go to? Like, what if somebody is like, okay, I don't want to join a pool, but I want to put in 5K or 10K or some significant amount, but not what millions of dollars. Is it still worth it to get the X's, to get to multipliers? Like, how do you think it's going to shake out?
So, I mean, if you scroll down a little bit on your screen and you just go like 10 pages in on the ProveX website.
I'm going to check if it's up and functioning.
Oh, okay. Well, that sucks. Is it even?
We just keep taking the punches here, Dylan. We just keep taking the punches.
It's working for me, bro. Like, what's going on here, bud?
Oh yeah, actually, it may be up again. I think they would have some trouble. Let's see.
So I'm gonna scroll to the page. So top 50, right? So to get in the top 50, you need 6K, 6.4K, right? And then you get a 1.8x multiplier. Okay. So if you chipped in 7K, you got 1.8x with the bonus. Okay. Whereas if you joined the pool, and the pool remained the number one slot, you get 2.7x, right? Well, I mean, why does that make sense to you if you're the little guy? Well, this is very aimed towards getting as much money as you can to send to this thing, right? And the incentive is the bigger you are, the better you get rewarded i.e., the lower your cost basis is for how much money you sent this thing, right? So essentially, if he raises $5 to $10 million and you get a 3x multiplier, your cost basis is now what? $1 to $3 million, $1.5 to $3 million. So you start at an advantage versus at the expense of everybody else, right? So in essence, you really want a pool because, or whether or not it's with us, that's it's totally up to you guys. But you should pool or have somebody that that is really big. Otherwise, you are at an extremely large disadvantage. You know what I mean? So it just makes sense. Like the math is there. It makes sense. Instead of a 2.7x, if you come in with 6K, you're getting 1.5x or a 1.8x, right? Makes no sense. So,
I mean, why sacrifice it all? Why not just, the other strategy seems to be like, just wait till it comes out and buy the dip. Is that just not, you guys just letting it's on the radar?
I mean, I've seen a lot of people on the timeline saying, oh, I'm just going to wait for this thing to dump 90%. Okay. People are going to trade this. It's going to be volatile, right? Like that's kind of a given. It's a new product. Pulse was extremely volatile when it came out, if you guys remember that. Like it went from all-time low to all-time high in a candle. Okay. It literally was extremely volatile. So this thing, I mean, if you get really lucky, you could probably snag something. I don't think that that's going to happen. My thought process is, if this thing is worth, if he raises 10 million bucks, which I think that that's kind of on the upper range. Buck seems to think that he'll get like $25 million. I really don't see that happening. But anyways, let's say he raises $10 million. Okay. And, it drops 90%. You really think you're going to get an RH ticker for less than $1 million bucks? Like there's no way. You know what I mean? Like even most is not even worth that little, right? As far as I know. You know what I mean? So like it just, the math ain't math in here, bud. Like this is not Pulse. Pulse was worth billions of dollars. PulseX was worth billions of dollars. It dropped 90, 80% because it was worth a lot of fucking stuff, right? Like there was a lot of inflated market cap that was added via Hexagon sacrificing, and then just the bull market was going on full swing at that point, right? With Bitcoin and all that stuff. So I just don't see it doing that. People are going to trade it, obviously, but if it does dip below sack rate, if you have a multiplier, you're going to be fine, right? You'll still probably be up anyways. And I think a lot of these people that are really mad on the timeline, they're kind of at a point where, they're probably going to participate when this thing launches because maybe the prices on RH cores will be a little bit better. But in reality, they're going to be getting less coins anyways because this will probably appreciate more than the RH coins did regardless. You know what I mean? So like they probably feel like, okay, well, I don't want to sack this thing. I think Richard's a scumbag for doing this and I can't sell my cores at all-time low, right? I'll wait until it comes out. Maybe cores will be up 2x, but who's to say this thing's not up 5x when this thing launches? You know what I mean? So it's like you're playing a risk, but I think it's just kind of there's a lot of distaste in people's mouths right now. So maybe that's why the sentiment is so negative.
What makes y'all built products? You're doing pulled sacrifice for this. Are you just betting that Richard is just not going to let this thing fail? Like, is it like what are you betting on? Like, are you betting on him? Are you betting on like the ecosystem? Like what?
We're betting on the bet is him turning the paradigm by putting a win on the board, right? Because like dude, this is such a low market cap thing for an RH coin. It's like, it's not going to be that hard to get it to do something. You know what I mean? Like X did a 10x.
Dylan, can I jump in here?
Sure.
Yeah. So, I think the key thing is not just a win on the board. It's why the win on the board is necessary.
Getting kicked out of the coffee shop.
Sorry, getting kicked out of the coffee shop? I don't get the reference. I'm an old man.
Dylan was talking. I thought he was talking to somebody, and I thought he was getting kicked out.
Sorry. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you. Am I the only one that heard Dylan talk a second ago? To not me, but maybe it was maybe the lag. I don't know. Maybe
you're hearing stuff, man.
I was like, is Dylan hearing stuff? Or I'm hearing stuff. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah. So it's why he needs a win on the board, right? Which Dylan didn't tell you the why, which is always very important, Dylan, when you're trying to sell things. If you're Richard and you want to come back and have a successful career promoting PulseChain, you kind of will have a very difficult time doing that when Pulse and PulseX and Hex are down 90-odd%. You don't have any good news to go tell anybody, and you're just going to basically be made fun of by everybody. So what's the simplest thing to do? It's to basically create something new and have success with it. What's the definition of success? Well, generally speaking, in crypto or in the investment world, it's making people money, right? So my hypothesis on this is that Richard is basically creating a product with a very low market cap relative to his other products, artificially low. That's completely mispriced. And he's set it up so that the absolute minimum amount of money can go into this pool by basically not talking about it, not really providing us with any details, not giving us any insurances, not really making any effort to sell it whatsoever. And as such, it appears to be working because he's basically raised 2 orders of magnitude less. Or I think we can project him to raise 2 orders of magnitude less. He's probably raised 3 orders of magnitude less so far. The whole point of that, I think, is so that he can take a few people along who still believed in him or who figured out my theory here and make them, a pretty decent return. In a normal world where RH cores would be accepted, we'd probably be seeing tens of millions of dollars of Hex, Pulse, and PulseX being sacked right now. And indeed, it was very controversial. And the fact that none of that was allowed, in essence, forces people to sell down those coins in order to put in the coins that they do, that are accepted. And that's a very difficult decision to make at this time. Additionally, the timing of this thing really coincided with the beginning of this sell-off, right? So it really makes it incredibly difficult to go find money elsewhere to put into this because you've probably just lost a bunch of money on all the other crypto you have or the stocks you have, and you now actually have pretty good options out there from an investment standpoint, right? So it's the complete polar opposite of where we were when we did Pulse and PulseX, where people were feeling rich, values were high. This is basically completely the other way around. So as such, the community's only managed to raise about $2.7 million for this thing in basically we're 8 days into it now. It would have there would have been plenty of individual wallets contributing comparable money to this 3-4 years ago. But ultimately, this is still a Richard Hart token. And ultimately, this token should probably trade in some range with the rest of his tokens. Market cap is a concept that's a little bit complicated. So I don't like to talk to hexagons about market cap. But if you just think of relative value the community is going to value ProveX in some way to PulseX, and Hex, right? And the analogy I like to use is a monopoly board. Currently, the two kind of most valuable properties of a monopoly board are Boardwalk and Park Place, and that's Pulse and PulseX. And then you go down and you've got Inc. probably in the green properties. And then you've got protocols like, liquid loans or maybe ours, kind of in the middle range there. And then you have your shitcoins all the way at the bottom, over on the beginning of the board. Where does this product fit is the question. I think it's pretty conservative to say that it probably is going to trade between Inc. and PulseX in terms of how we value it as a community. But it has the potential to trade above that as well, especially if you look at what he's trying to accomplish. So I think in a kind of starting point, you should expect this to trade roughly between Inc. and PulseX in terms of value. But in a world where he comes back and he markets and promotes and builds a product that's actually usable, not just by people on PulseChain, but people all over crypto, this thing is reaching out to an addressable market that's worth billions and billions of dollars a year. He's going after CEXs, and he's going after market makers and OTC desks all over the world. And the potential for fee generation for that is much bigger than PulseChain, right? So if he is able to create a successful product in this space, it could be worth more than Pulse. It could be worth more than Hex. It could be worth more than all of his coins combined. And the people who use it don't even need to necessarily care about PulseChain. They just need to want to use this protocol. So the potential upside for this is very hard to value. It's quite abstract. And of course, it's very risky. But when you compare that, to what's currently gone to pool, $2.7 million, to me, it looks like something that's asymmetrically cheap. And I can only think that's deliberately done. And why you would do that is so that you can basically then face the world again and say, hey, Richard Hart here. You probably haven't seen my new product, ProveX.com. It's really cool. By the way, it just did a 10 or 20 or 30x, and a lot of people are very happy about that. But it's doing real crypto, and it's decentralized, and it lets you remove middlemen like CEXs who will lock up your coins and demand documents from you. We want to do real crypto here. This gives him the ability to basically go be Richard Hart again, and gives the whole community something to basically brag about and talk about again. All right. And, I think one of the key things to understand there is that it's quite hard for Richard to do much for a fork of Ethereum right now, or a fork of PancakeSwap, right? All of crypto is basically on the nose right now and going in reverse. So the timing of this is very good to, in essence, engineer something brand new with very low expectations. And the expectations, literally couldn't be lower from people. And ultimately, have a new Richard Hart success story. So I think the community is too busy being pessimistic because their bags are down to really see the opportunity here. So when ProveX was announced, I was kind of delighted, but also surprised to just see how negative everybody was. And indeed, doing the rounds the past week, as we've been doing, I really am shocked that none of the usual people who promote Richard Hart stuff hardly appear to be doing anything about this one. right? I'm pretty much the only guy who's excited about this, at least publicly. So, to me, this is definitely the best Richard Hart opportunity I've seen, probably ever, but certainly since December 2019, when Hex had fallen 97% 30 days after launch, and I bought it. So, I think this thing is, perhaps going to be, how Richard Hart finds his redemption. And I just think a lot of people don't realize that he's setting it up for that yet. Now, I could be wrong about this. Richard could just have gone crazy or be delusional. But I can't think of any other logical explanation for what he's doing right now than basically the thesis that I've laid out for you guys. And I'm here for it. And I want to make sure that I get the best multiplier. So we've built the number one wallet in the sacrifice with $800,000. We currently dominate the pool. And if we're successful, we'll be getting a multiplier, something, closer to 3 than not. And you guys are all able to participate in it if you wish. So feel free to check out our pool, join our Telegram, ProveXpool.com. And you guys can ask us lots of questions about it. I think this thing is not without risk. As Dylan alluded to, there's a short-term trade here, which is that it's underpriced artificially because basically nobody who normally would invest in it can invest because they're basically broke or too shocked by what's happening in crypto at the moment. But also because I don't think people have really thought through or read between the lines of what Richard's been saying about what he intends to do with this. And that's more of the long-term thesis. So this thing could become much bigger than anything else he's currently got pretty easily. And that would mean a lot of appreciation from a $10 million market cap, if that's what we raise. It could be less, it could be more.
What is, so ProveX, I mean, Dylan talked about Richard trying to help get the ball rolling and for the price to go up for the core coins and all this stuff before, doing all these different things, inflation, there's all these stuff that's happened in the last year or two. For ProveX, do you think it's just, is this the striking the match? Like, is this the thing that's been set up to, okay, kick things off for our season? Is this the thing that is just convenient to get an easy win? And then like, what's after this? Like, how does this fit into the plan? Like if there is a plan of thing, Richard doing stuff.
Yeah, well, I think, a big part of that is first, having something to go brag about and actually come back public and be Richard again, right? I think that's a key thing. In terms of bringing value to PulseChain, if this thing is actually successful in doing, billions of dollars of fees, of volume and creating millions of dollars of fees, you're going to see this token appreciate a ton. And it's going to be trading on PulseChain. And it's going to bring new users to PulseChain, and it's going to bring more interest in PulseChain. And it's also going to give a lot of confidence to the people that currently hold Richard Hart coins, if it's successful. If my thesis here is right, it means that we're going to see a much more active Richard in the future. And somebody who has basically been underground ducking the SEC for the last few years, and Finland, will suddenly basically come out punching and be able to be his braggadocious old self again. So that's what I'm hoping happens here. I can't guarantee that though, but at the very least, it's going to be something that allows him to basically have a positive narrative around sacrifices and his products in general. It's not exactly your fault as an entrepreneur if you raise money at the wrong time. In finance, we call this the poor vintage effect, right? Pulse and PulseX have a very bad vintage. They were basically valued at a time when the markets were stupidly exuberant. This one has the benefit of being the opposite. So, if you're investing in tech startups and things like that, oftentimes the best time to do that happens to coincide with periods of extreme weakness, and vice versa. I think this thing at least will allow him to come out of the hotel room or wherever the hell he is, and start to be his old self again. But if he has any success, and I can think of ways to engineer success here, especially if you're a billionaire, this thing should start to get a lot of attention over to PulseChain, right? People will go, "What is this coin that's massively appreciated? What does it do? Oh, this could be a useful service. I would use this thing for sure, and I wouldn't even need to care about PulseChain necessarily to use that. I could just be going from XMR to Hype, or whatever, Solana to Sui, but I can be basically paying fees to a protocol on PulseChain, and that creates a buy and burn for this token. And there's a real use case in the real world for this. But typically you want to have lots of people with liquidity on each side of these things, fulfilling these trades. Well, there happens to be somebody with a lot of liquidity that could be fulfilling these trades. So this thing can actually swallow PulseChain whole in terms of usefulness. There's not a lot of people using PulseChain at the moment, but there could be a lot more people using this than are currently using PulseChain at the moment. So I'm pretty excited about it. There's a lot of speculation here, though, and a lot of faith on my part to think that's his grand plan. But as I said, I can't think of any other explanation for why he would, basically launch the sacrifice the way he did, not market it for the first half of it effectively. We don't know when he's ever going to publish these documents or live stream. But so far he hasn't done much since he launched the sacrifice, other than a few tweets here and there to let people know he's still breathing, right? So it's a pretty exciting thing to me. Richard likes to play games. We know that he was very good at StarCraft, and I think this is a good example of a game in a sense. How do you game this so that you pretty much guarantee upside to people, right? I mean, that's effectively what he's doing, if that's his intention. So I'm absolutely thrilled by this. We didn't know a month or two ago if Richard Hart was ever going to really try hard again to make something happen for the community. Plenty of people were saying he's off, living the life somewhere, and basically is doing a long goodbye. This proves the opposite. It proves that he's actually working on something, and he's even told us that he's open to the idea of streaming again, which he has basically refused to do for the last few years. So the community completely missed that, and that's I think the most bullish thing he's said in years. And all people can think about is how disappointed they are about Pulse and PulseX right now, right? But I see a fantastic opportunity here, and that also means that at some point there'll be a fantastic opportunity in his other coins as well, because if PulseChain is a going concern and has a hot protocol like this on it, then that's going to basically push up the value of PulseChain in general, I think, right? It might not do it in the short term. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see cores drop more, especially as people look to sacrifice at the end of this. I think there's, something like 12 days left, right? But at some point, I think this is going to put a bottom in, with all that selling. And we're going to probably come back at some point in the near future with some sort of V-shaped recovery in Richard Hart coins. Perhaps Richard streaming, perhaps Richard being active again. And a protocol that is very abstract and hard to value, but it has a huge potential addressable market. So, you know, it's, to me, just a wonderful thing to speculate on. And the thing is, I don't have to overpay for it. You know, there are literally, you know, meme coins, dog coins on PulseChain that probably have bigger market caps than this one does right now. Right? It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it is amazing. It's well, tell us about the who wants to take the pool? Who wants to the pool? And is it trustless? I think it's a question in chat too. Was it trustless, trustful? Like, how's it set up? How does it work?
So I'll take this one, Dylan. It's not trustless. You have to trust us basically to forward your tokens to Richard. But you can see that's what's been happening for the last few days that we've been running it. So you send your money to that address on the screen, and about 15 minutes later or less, it gets forwarded to the SAC pool. And then once Richard issues the tokens, we'll be basically forwarding them back to you. That's how this works. So yes, you do have to trust us to do that. And I think, you know, that's a risk that you can definitely take into account. Why you would trust us? Well, we've got a pretty good track record of keeping our promises. We have a whole bunch of valuable real estate on PulseChain. We like working on PulseChain. We make good money here. We enjoy our friends and our relationships here. You know, we have a lot to lose. You know, so if we were going to do funny buggers, we would lose all of that. So we don't really have a very good incentive, in my opinion, to do the wrong thing in that regard. Technically, we have the competence to do this very easily. We do very complicated protocols that require all sorts of stuff, and they trade 24/7 hours a day, 7 days a week. So this is not a very big job for us from a technical standpoint.
Yeah,
so
Buck, how much liquidity do we have on Fame that we manage, like the team does? Like almost $2 million, right? So this
yeah,
pool's only
I mean,
800K. So like, you know, that alone is
yeah, well, I
why would we
mean,
risk that reputational damage?
if we wanted a rug, we could have done that years ago, like, to be honest. Yeah, it just, you know, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us. We're not those kind of guys, obviously. We're professionals with real careers and kids, and, you know, we don't want trouble, right? Like, we're not those kind of guys, basically. Hopefully that should sound pretty self-evident. But yeah, the other thing is the people who know us in this community have really backed us. They've pretty much put in 800K, pretty much just based on, you know, me saying, hey guys, I think there's opportunity here. Here's why, and I need your help to build this pool. So we put 100K in, and the rest of the money's come from you know, just people who know us well and trust us to do this job. And there's literally hundreds of them that have sacrificed. But we've had a few guys sacrifice, you know, six-figure sums to the pool already. You know, so that's a lot of risk to take on somebody that, you know, if you don't trust them. And those people have done that. And obviously, I'm not going to dox them, but, you know, they're people that you would know in the community. Yeah, I mean, you know, feel free to, if you're not sure, to ask around about us and what we do. And, you know, how we really care a lot about keeping our word about those things.
How much is there any guess or speculation how much you think you will get in the pool? And will it be like, does it, if, you know, if you all get $4 or $5 million and there's a total of, you know, under 10 million, is that just like a big chunk of the multiplier just goes there based on the curve? Like everyone else is just getting the 1x?
Probably you will obviously see a lot of people sacrifice in the pool and out of the pool. You know, I think there's going to be other whales that come in last minute. If you're sacrificing directly right now for, you know, less than 6 figures, I think you're going to be really disappointed in the end with your multiplier. It's probably going to have a 1 handle on it. Yeah, I wouldn't advise that. If you're somebody that's willing to put a few $100K into this, I think you can probably still get a pretty good multiplier. But it won't be as good as the pool. Almost certainly. You know, I think it's pretty likely we're going to finish in the top 3. And if you just look at the math currently on that, you know, basically we're dominating the second wallet's return, and you know, by the time you get down to, you know, the 3rd, the 4th, or the 10th wallet, it's really a big discrepancy. So you know, I think, assuming you trust us, which is important, and you know, you're almost certainly better off in the pool at pretty much any size, but definitely below 100,000. And if you have more than 100,000, you should probably come talk to me before you sacrifice. I'd love to have a discussion. Yeah, so basically, where do we think we end up? I don't know. I think we're probably going to end up taking, you know, somewhere between 10 and 30% of all the money that goes into this, would be my guess. I think we're around 20% right now. But you know, there's a lot of people that haven't sacrificed yet, but I assume we get a decent chunk of those people as well. For us, it doesn't really matter. The money goes to Richard. So, you know, for us, you know, we just want to make sure that we maintain that top spot, or worst case, that 2nd or 3rd spot, I think. So far it's all working really well. I think part of it is because, you know, I've managed to go, you know, herd together guys like Dylan and everybody else who's sacrificed. We're the people who actually believe in this thing, right? I think a lot of the other people are skeptics, or they've checked out, or they're busy with other things in their lives and not interested in taking another punt on Richard. But you know, I think we've done a pretty good job of finding the people who are open-minded and capable of abstract thought enough to basically, you know, question why Richard would do things the way he's doing. So, you know, most of the money that's been coming in the past few days has been going into our pool. As far as I can tell, the leaderboard basically hasn't moved in the past couple of days. You had one guy take 2nd place, topping up his position. But you know, the rest of the people in there, it's been the same wallets, probably since day 2. So yeah, I think we're hoovering up a decent amount. It's possible that we might have to pause or close the pool if we're too big, or there's potentially other things we can do as well. But you know, what we would like to do is pretty much just stay where we are in relative size. That's probably the optimal outcome for the sacrificers. But we still want people to sacrifice now, because obviously most of the money we think is going to be backloaded on this. If we raise 2.7 now, you know, I think 10's a pretty good target, conservatively. I'm still thinking it's going to be north of that. Dylan thinks it's going to be under 11. I think it's going to be above that. But I think anything, you know, below 50 has plenty of upside. And if you're getting the multiplier, it makes it easier, way easier, right? So getting the multiplier for me was absolutely essential, which is why I basically dropped everything and went to work on this. And I'm really excited with the results so far. Yeah, it's I think something that people are sleeping on. You know, it's pretty easy to get distracted with everything else happening in the world. and it takes a big leap of faith to sacrifice for this thing right now. But I'm one of the crazy ones this time.
Do you think this will bring new, the sacrifices of just for whales, for believers, for new? You think we'll get new people in from other chains?
I think you'll get a few people from other chains, but I don't suspect that this is going to really go viral or people are going to get too excited about it. That's why I really think its intended purpose, the way it's set up, is to make a few people a lot of money who are paying attention and still believe in Richard Hart. And obviously, you know, the product that he wants to create, that could become huge, right? But you know, specifically the way he's done the sacrifice, even if there were no product, even if this thing were just a meme coin, right? This thing could do very well, right? You know, if Richard Hart is literally just going to create a dog coin called ProveX, I think that dog coin would still have, you know, trade, you know, 20, 30, 40 million dollars, right? And it would be probably worth less than ink, but you know, probably worth more than a lot of other things, right? That's the power of something floating and the power of Richard Hart, right? I mean, this is a Richard Hart coin, like literally trading at an order of magnitude less than his other coins, or not trading, but valued at an order of magnitude less than his other coins, maybe 2 orders of magnitude less. So I mean, it's insanely cheap relative to those. And indeed, this thing might actually become more valuable than all his other coins combined if he's actually successful with creating this protocol. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know. Like that, this is a very hard thing to win, right? It's a very hard thing to be dominant in, but he definitely has a few advantages. So, you know, as the community starts to understand the potential of what he's doing, they're going to value this thing more and more and more. And I think it will probably overtake PulseX pretty quickly if he kind of comes out tap dancing and really does a good job of explaining to people what it does, and you know, and people start to understand, you know, what its potential is. So far, he hasn't really done that for you guys, and you know, most people aren't going to ever hear, you know, Dylan or I talk about this, right? It's only a few people that happen to, you know, see my tweets or, you know, watch your YouTube show that are ever even going to know about this possibility, right? Before this sacrifice ends. So yeah, I mean, I personally kind of hope Richard, you know, keeps doing what he's doing, keeps pretty quiet. Let's the clock run out on this thing. We raise, you know, under $10 million, and you know, we wait a little while. Richard goes to work, you know, turns on the sales machine, the marketing machine, and you know, issues a token, and that, I think, probably pretty quickly, you know, multiplies quite a bit. So I think this is basically the start of something really great for us, assuming I'm right about what he's doing. So there's a lot of speculation in my thesis here. So don't think that it's a certainty, but it's the only thesis that makes sense to me, right? So it boils down to the execution of whether or not, you know, how successful he can take it.
We got what total sacrifice time? 60 days instead of the months that was PulseChain and PulseX. If I remember PulseX went forever. I was like, how is it people still sacrificing in the summer? Oh, you might get some points. I remember those tweets.
Yeah, PulseX lasted forever. This is short and sweet, man, and the timing is oddly, you know, in line with this downtrend that we've had. I mean, like, I just think it's intentional. Like, he wants to turn the ecosystem around. obviously he wants to put a win on the board and get everybody excited about everything again. And I mean, come on, man, this seems like a layup. And you know, for those of you that may be stuck in cores and don't want to, ask yourself, okay, what is more likely to happen? Will Hex 10x from here and make a new high, or does ProveX have a better chance of doing a 10x from here when you get the 2x multiplier or the 2.7x multiplier? You know, ask yourself these questions. Do thought-provoking exercises to understand, okay, what is my risk to reward here? You know, does this chain turn around before ProveX comes out? Does it make more sense for me to throw some money at this and sacrifice? Does it make sense for me to pool, et cetera, et cetera? You know, you got to do these thought-provoking exercises to actually figure out, like, you know, what makes sense. I see a lot of people that just don't want to do anything, which is fine, right? You know, you don't have to do nothing. But, you know, if you want to make money and be on top of it and be your own bank and be smart about it, you know, you got to think about this stuff. So
I like the Hex token. I also like the ProveX token. I think I'm going to like it. You
Yeah.
know what? If you hold them all, I don't know. I hope we get the mad gains holding them all, right?
there you go. That's right.
But the SAC is, I think that's the biggest question too. I had to pull up about people are going to buy the cheap cores. You're going to buy, participate in the sacrifice. I think the multiplier maybe plays a role in here, and or you know, doing the pools, second, you know, without pools, you know, just on your own as well. I don't know. There's a lot of people broke right now, and that's what I was going to ask too. Is this, you know, without getting into a large macro discussion, if this turns into a, hey, wow, really good valuation, does a bunch of X's, is there a PulseChain season with or without money printer going burr? Is that a guaranteed at this point? Just briefly, like what comes next? What does 2026 look like for you all?
Buck?
Uh,
It's like, I don't know, man. It can go anywhere.
Yeah, well, there was a great comment there from Kiwi4497. She writes, or he writes, Buck really loves the sound of his own voice, doesn't he? Every time I hear him talk. I think you should come on the show, Kiwi, and we'll listen to you talk, and you can give us an investment thesis. That'd be good. I think my voice is all right, but in any case, 2026, my guess is that this is most likely just a short-term correction. Crypto's volatile, but I mean, it could be that basically markets are, you know, sort of front-running midterms, and they've decided that the Republicans are going to lose, and the crypto people are saying, okay, the party's over. So yeah, I mean, this could last longer if that actually happens. But I would think that we're going to see lower interest rates. The economy's pretty healthy as far as I can tell. And unemployment's going up, so that gives the Fed the ability to consider cutting rates more. But you know, people are still optimistic about the future in America, and you know, what's coming with AI and all these things. So I can't imagine we're going to like some sort of protracted recession or depression scenario. I just don't see it. You know, it's this is probably to me, like, I'm looking around at things that I want to buy right now, right? And I've been DCAing out the whole year, basically since the day we got the Trump bump. You know, I've been DCAing out, and of course, I always wish that I sold more in moments like this. But you know, I'm now kind of on the other side of it, and you know, hey, that's one of the reasons we can, you know, put money into this ProveX sacrifices. You know, because we have had discipline, and you know, we have funds ready to go. Not everybody's in that position at the moment, which is tough, right? And I think you can tell listening to people. You asked a question at the very beginning about the guys that want to just buy this on the dip. I mean, that kind of mentality might work if you're relatively small, right? You know, you can wait, you can wait for sure, and you know, potentially buy this thing on a dip. But I think you're going to be buying it at a 10 or $20 million market cap if that happens, right? And if you actually have size, you know, so like you're somebody that needs to invest, you know, 100K or $1 million or $2 million or $3 million, you're not going to be able to buy up very much of supply in order to get your position without adversely pushing the price massively against you. So for a lot of us, it makes a heap of sense if we want to, if we believe that there's a big opportunity here. We want to get a decent amount of the supply of it through this sacrifice. If you've only got $100 to invest, then I think you probably can, you know, try and buy it on the dip, as one of the YouTube guys was suggesting in a tweet last night. But like if you need to put 100,000 to work or more or something like that, I think you're going to miss the biggest appreciation by waiting for that, because you're going to go from probably something that starts out, you know, at $10 million and probably goes up to $50 million. And, you know, best case scenario I can think of would be you might get like a short term low around $20 million or something like that, right? And it may go to $100 million before it does that, right? So, you know, good luck with that strategy. You know, I like the buying the dip thing when the starting price was too high, right? PulseX was a buy the dip strategy, and the dip might be happening, or the dip might be ending soon, right? Um, Same goes for Pulse, right? So yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities everywhere right now, and you know, you should probably think about buying something in the not so distant future. You should be thinking about the things that you might want to buy right now. I don't know if this goes a lot lower. If it does, you know, I think Bitcoin probably bottoms in the 70s. I don't see
Hmm.
it going. I don't think I see it going into the 60s. So like for me, it's already time to start buying again pretty soon. If I want to buy crypto. So um, so I think your starting point today is pretty good for crypto in general.
Gotcha. All right. Well, how can people wrap up? How can people participate? And there's the Telegram. There's the website. What is the quick process, real quick? What is it like? What's the 1, 2, 3 for people who want to participate with the poll?
Yeah. So the easiest way to get just news or updates on what's going on is to join the Telegram, of course. T.me/ProveX pool. Really straightforward. If you are using the pool to sacrifice, there's 3 ways to check the SAC address, right? You can check it in the Telegram using !info, and it's on the big message there. You can go to provexpool.com. There's an address right there. You can even go to Etherscan and search up the ENS domain. So you can go on Etherscan, type in provexpool.eth, and then the address will come up there too. So you have 3 ways to not fuck this up, okay? Take your time, triple check everything, and don't fuck it up, okay? We cannot help you if you send it to a contract address. Like that is off, like we can't do that. There's been people that have done that for fiat sacrifice and for fame sacrifice, and they were made whole because, you know, the PH team ran that. This is Richard's stuff. We can't help you there, okay? When you send it to the wrong place, it's gone. Do not send it from an exchange. Put it in a wallet. You know, if you're moving funds off Coinbase, do not send it from Coinbase. Put it in a wallet that you own, and then send it to the address, right? This also goes for Richard's SAC stuff, okay? Like you can't send from Coinbase because Coinbase will get your money, and that does not help you. It'll get stuck there. So please keep that in mind. Take your time. You don't need to do this in the next 3 minutes. You know what I mean? So just please take your time, triple check everything.
You can do a test transaction. Send
Yeah.
$100 the first time.
Yeah.
You can watch it in our Telegram. You'll see a little notification. That if it's over $100, if it's less than that, we don't bother with notifications.
Yeah, if it's over 500, you'll see it.
Yep. And then you can push through, the 200K you're going to send us or whatever you feel like doing. But yeah, please be careful. And yeah, like if I'm DMing you and I've never spoken to you before, it's probably a Nigerian scammer.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. And if I don't sound like an American guy, it's probably a scammer. So people do fall for that stuff. So watch out for that.
Do not get scammed. Yes. Important indeed.
Don't get scammed. Very important. Yes.
Gents, thanks for coming on again. It's been, like I said, it's been a while. Founders Week. You may remember Founders Week. PulseChain just launched. Everything was new. Some products have
wild.
Yeah, that's Founders Week. I had Founders Week. I had Security
Didn't
Week.
you run? Was the Founders Week the like the conference thing? Right? Am I remembering this correctly?
No, that was my first week of like, hey, I'm just going to have a bunch of a show each day with different people, on Founders for that one. Then I had a Security Week, which was like each day different security stuff, and then Hex Week was the conference thing that happened.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of that.
Hex Week was. I don't know if I'm going to do Hex Week again. Like any week of like, dude, I did like almost 30 hours of content. I'm like, I can't. I'm too tired. I can't do it by myself.
Tapped out. Yeah.
Tapped out. A lot of work. Put in the work. Let's go. Let's go get some map gains. Let's go. All right, everyone. That's all we got for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.